FanDuel read and a winning ticket, then we'll get into Browns-Texans stuff. But first, the NFL regular season may have wrapped up, but there's still plenty of time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed just by placing a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose for new customers. The best part about FanDuel, well, the app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, including live same-game parlays. You can find bets in the new Explorer tab. You can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, which is the best and easiest way to find popular parlays, and so much more. So make sure you visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. And today's winning ticket comes from So Live, who turned $10 into $456.80 with a 13-part same-game parlay from the Sacramento Kings-Detroit Pistons game the other night. He hit over on points, rebounds, three-pointers made, and steals for a number of different players. And if you have a winning ticket like So Live and you turn $10 into $460, make sure you send it our way, tweet it at us, send it to us via email to be featured on the show.
And Mike, if there are fans and viewers out there that watch that don't quite feel confident enough in their takes to place bets, but they love watching sports, and they appreciate our opinions and our thoughts on how things are going to go, beginning this week, we're starting a new segment where we're going to build a single-game parlay. It happens in overtime today, so if you're not a $4.99 member yet, now's the time to dive into the top-tier membership. And it's basically bet with us, UCSS, us. We're each going to give a leg of a parlay, and if you like it, dive in on it, and we'll track our results, and we'll see how much money we can make over the course of placing these weekly bets on FanDuel.
It'll be called the Ultimate Same Game Parlay. Bet with us, Jay. I like that creativity.
I like that.
Make sure you do that, and tweet at us at Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, at myself, Mike Lucas TV, Bulgy, whoever. We'll make sure you get your winning tickets featured here on the show. Guys, the Browns and Texans played 3 weeks ago in Week 16. It was 36-7 before garbage time touchdowns came in for the Texans. It's not a divisional matchup, and it's very rare if you go back through the last 10 years of playoff matchups that teams who have played in the last 3 weeks of the regular season then matched up again in the wild card round. Different
Hell,
team
the Browns
for the
did it 3 years ago.
It has happened, but
Right.
it's not very common.
Yeah.
Especially for non-division opponents.
Sure.
So in a
Bengals
rematch.
and Chiefs did it recently.
Yeah,
They
I'm
did.
not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it doesn't happen a ton. But in a rematch scenario like this, where one team smoked the other team, Houston was missing some players, so was Cleveland. Which side has the advantage in a rematch just 3 weeks later? Is it the team that got smoked that knows, hey, what we thought worked didn't, and we got to completely change? Or is it the team that had everything work in their favor and then only has to make minor tweaks? Bull, GJ?
In
Which
my
side?
opinion, there's no advantage from that angle. I think the Browns have an advantage because they're a better team, and I think the Browns have an advantage with having a more experienced quarterback. But I don't think there's any advantage from winning that game because you can't just say that both teams had injuries. They were missing CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
Now, you could say the Browns had injuries, but the Browns' injuries, those guys are not back. It's not like Nick Chubb's back for this game. So that's a big difference. I'm sure a lot of people in Cleveland think the Browns are going to win. I don't think there's many people who think they're going to win as easily as they did the last time they played them because the quarterback they have going now is a lot better than the quarterback they had going in that game. So in terms of how the Browns offense played, you could take something out of that. Yeah. In terms of the Browns defense and how they were challenged in this game versus how they were challenged in that game, I can't take much out of that. But so I don't think from that perspective, in my opinion, I don't think either team has an advantage.
It's tough. When I saw the question on the rundown, I thought about it from a perspective going back to high school. We always play St. Ignatius week 7 of the high school football season. And the year that we won the state championship, we came up here and we played, I think it's Dixfield. No, we played at Byersfield.
Okay.
And they beat us 28-21. And, we were like, man, we kind of lost that game. We kind of got dropped out of, the national – because we hadn't lost in, 2 years. So we got kind of dropped out of the national top 10. But it was weird because we knew we would play them again. And for some strange reason, we just had a bunch of confidence that we can win that game. And we came out and we played at Kent State, and we came out and we got them down early. And it was it was weird. But everybody around us was panicking. Everybody else around us was like, my mom, my dad, everybody in the
But internally, you guys had confidence.
Yeah,
why? Do you know why?
I don't know. Maybe it's you're young and dumb, and it was the first time that our junior class had got to play because we had the senior class with Mike Dawson and all those other guys, and they played. But we just felt like we had we had a veteran quarterback. We had playmakers. We just were like, all right, we just don't got to make no mistakes because we was turning the ball over. And we got there, and it was actually one of the easier games. Now, they came back and was playing tough, but it was like I don't know why. I've always asked myself that question in sports. Why
it is
do
interesting.
we feel confident? And it's just one of those things.
Do you think the Texans will have that confidence or no?
I think the Texans will have some of that confidence, and
because they've got their guy back.
Because they got CJ Stroud back,
yeah.
and plus they've played and seen success quicker or more recent than the Browns. Mm-hmm. They just came off a win on the road, so now they got a little more confidence. Like, hey, we won on the road to get in the playoffs. Now we got CJ back at home. Mm-hmm. We ready to go.
Yeah, won what they had to feel like was a playoff game.
Yep.
Because it was essentially. It's interesting that you say that, G, because as you were talking, I started thinking about why that might be. And oftentimes when there's a game where one team is a big underdog, particularly in the big games where all the focus is, the game plan for the underdog is what? Slow it down, keep it close.
Keep it close.
Why? Because if that game goes into the second quarter and it's a one-score game, you're able to now say to yourself, the pundits were wrong. We can play with these guys. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, the pressure starts ratcheting up on the favorite.
Yep.
We're supposed to handle these guys easily, and here we are, 3 minutes to go in the fourth, and it's a one-score game. Stay close, and I think internally inside that game, you start to build on that confidence, and that can be a very scary thing for the opposition. My answer to this is the Texans have the advantage, and I really didn't think I didn't think that it was close. Yes, the Browns have the knowledge that they won easily the first time they played, but the Browns are closer to who they were on Christmas Eve than the Texans are to who they were. You didn't just take two players out of the Texans' rotation. You took the two players.
Yeah.
You took their playmaking superstar on offense, and he wasn't in the game. Clearly, the Houston Texans, without CJ Stroud, are a different animal, and the Texans know that. So I think they will have an advantage. Now, the Browns do have some advantages. I think they have the advantage of knowing that Amari Cooper could have gone for 400 yards in that game if they wanted. And they were incapable of making the in-game adjustments. Trust me, 13 minutes of the 15 minutes at halftime were spent trying to figure out what the hell to do with number two.
Yeah.
How do we slow this guy down? What are we doing? And whatever in-game adjustments they were making, and they did make adjustments, we saw that, they didn't work. Now they've had 3 weeks to make adjustments. Yeah. And they've had time to sit in the lab with the pen and the pad, as you like to say. And they honed in on how they can slow number two. That may be their mission statement. And this wouldn't be a bad game plan. If I'm the Houston Texans, I am bracketing Amari Cooper. I'm doubling him, and I'm demanding that someone other than number two beats us.
I would do that too. And we talked about the run game. The run game is going to be pivotal because last game we played the Texans, we didn't run the ball all that well, and they had nothing for us. We just figured out that we could just throw the ball on you guys. Now, if they want to double bracket, that means somebody in the run game is going to have to do something, and that means one of the receivers is going to have to say that's disrespectful, and I'm going to kill you now.
But they're going to make us do that.
But they're going to make you do that. I think that might be and I don't think that you're going to see a bunch of man coverage. The double moves Amari Cooper was getting open on first down for those deep shots, I don't think they're going to run that. I think they're going to come with some zone and try to make Joe Flacco read defenses the whole entire game.
So a wholesale change.
The whole,
A couple of things. First of all, I don't think it matters if the Texans try to double team. I know Leroy's brought this up before. Sometimes the second guy just gets in the way. You're going against one guy essentially. And Joe Flacco's going to throw the ball anyway. We've seen
Sure.
We've seen him throw into double teams. Seen him throw into triple teams.
Sometimes at peril, but
he knows Amari Cooper. He knows. I don't know if he's had any picks throwing the ball to Amari Cooper. I don't remember it. Maybe he has.
Yeah, I don't.
I feel like most of his picks have either been to Cedric Tillman or plays where he's just going really deep down the field.
Or you get some tips.
Or the tips, right? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we can check that out, Mike. I don't remember him throwing a pick when he's throwing to Amari Cooper. Obviously,
I can look into it. Hold on.
Obviously, I could be wrong there. I think from the other side of the field, this is a very interesting thing here. My guy Cleve TA, who has his own analytics website, he made a very interesting point. The disparity with CJ Stroud. Most quarterbacks have a big difference: clean pocket, muddy pocket, right?
Yeah, not
his
this guy.
Disparity. No.
He's better.
No,
Well,
CJ Stroud, not Flacco.
No, I'm talking about Stroud too. We showed his numbers yesterday with a clean pocket and with pressure,
Well, his
and I was surprised by them.
You must have that wrong, Mike.
No, well, I know it's part of the 5 stats tomorrow. Stevie take 135. He hasn't thrown any interceptions under pressure, but his PFF grade's not better.
Yeah, that was what stood out to me.
Okay.
Because typically, that's when you see young quarterbacks throw picks.
What
Under
Cleve TA's
pressure.
talking about is the PFF grade, though.
Right, okay. But overall, he hasn't thrown any picks, fine. But he has not played well under pressure. And the disparity of his PFF grade in clean pocket and pressure, I think, is the biggest disparity of any quarterback.
Well,
in the league.
looking at that, it looks like it probably is.
6th biggest disparity.
Yeah.
6th biggest?
Correct.
Now,
I mean, everybody's disparity is different.
well, but right.
I mean,
but here's another thing. He's barely faced. They have faced very few teams that have good pass rushes. Very few.
Yeah.
He's played essentially 3 games against good pass rushing teams. The Ravens, the Steelers, and the Jets. He's only thrown 2 touchdowns in those 3 games. He was awful against the Jets. He had a decent game.
what week was that in the season? Do you remember?
It was
Week
somewhat
14.
recently.
Week 14.
Okay.
The Jets shut him down completely.
Completely.
They did. I don't know how they did it, but they did.
And the Jets defense didn't play well against the Browns, but for most of the year they've played well.
They've been very good.
And against the Steelers, he threw 2 touchdowns and no picks, which is obviously good, but he was very inefficient. I think he only completed like 53% of his passes. And he was not good against Baltimore. He threw no touchdowns against them. That was the first game of the year.
Yeah.
So I'll give him a little pass there.
Bull,
the bottom line is he has not faced a lot of good pass rushes.
Right.
The Browns have a great pass rush. The Browns, without a doubt, have the best pass rush secondary combo. And the Texans are trending towards their number 2 receiver being out. Noah Brown did not play last week.
That's right.
He hasn't practiced yet this week. Now, I hate not that he's so great, but he's clearly like he's their Elijah Mitchell. He's not great.
Yeah.
But he's probably even a little better than Elijah Mitchell.
Well,
Against Pittsburgh, real quick, Jay.
Go
against
ahead.
Pittsburgh, for CJ Stroud, he had 306 yards on 16 completions. He burned them deep. Nico Collins had 2 catches over 45 yards. He had 5 passes over 20 yards.
Okay.
His yards per attempt was through the roof. But inefficient is the way to explain
Yeah,
it.
but Bull,
he was hit or
coupling
miss.
with what you said, how he hasn't done well against pressure, he's also done very poorly. If you're looking, when Belichick looks at an opponent, what's their weakness? Where's the Achilles? And I'm going to chop at it. His weakness is man coverage. We gave a stat yesterday, Mike, if I'm not mistaken, is he 27th in the league against man coverage?
Yes, and the Browns play the second most cover 1 in football.
Right. So
Right.
I think that is a really interesting, because I don't know how much man the Jets played against him. I would imagine a lot.
Right. Well, they got probably the second best secondary in the league.
Well, they've got certainly
Yeah.
2 really good corners and
Right.
maybe one of the best corners.
Yeah.
I think that coupled with that pass rush and the fact that he has not done well in man coverage, that is a recipe for a very long day for CJ Stroud.
Yeah, he also, according to this thing I was reading by, again, TA, I want to give him credit for putting this out there. Part of the problem why he struggled at times, even though, again, no picks, that's pretty impressive for a rookie.
Very.
But the problem is he holds on to the ball too long, and he's gotten sacked a lot. I think the Jets sacked him like 5-6 times, and he's, not all sacks are created equal. Sometimes they're on the offensive line. Sometimes it's the quarterback's fault.
Yeah.
And a lot of his sacks, especially against those good pass rush teams, were his fault.
Well, I'd guess the Jets got him a lot because they were covered sacks.
Yeah, right.
So
And here's the wrinkle that's going to come. Watch for it. Everybody at home, watch for this. when I look at teams that play back-to-back or play twice in a year, I look at the coaches who kept something in their back pocket, little wrinkles that they didn't run the first time. I fully expect that Jim Schwartz is going to put Myles Garrett opposite of Laramie Tunsil. Laramie Tunsil, good elite tackle.
Their best guy by far.
Best guy. What they're gonna do is they'll flip Myles Garrett around, and what they'll do is when they're pass protecting, they'll bring linebackers and bring from that side of the line of scrimmage blitzes from JOK or blitzes from Taki,
right?
Or even nickels and safeties.
And we've seen that.
And they're gonna make him make a decision and make them pass that off between the guard and maybe even keep a tight end over there. So if you get Myles Garrett one-on-one on the opposite side, that's going to make them say, okay, well, do we take Dalton Schultz out of this route? Does he have to chip?
Stay in and chip.
Is he gonna stay in and chip? And that's one of the things that really help you, because now you got the corners to stay sticky. Plus, you got Myles Garrett on the secondary tackle.
Good stuff. Can't wait to see how it all plays out, Mike.
Yep. One more stat real quick on Stroud in clean pockets versus the pressure. In clean pockets, 20 touchdowns, 70% completion. Here's the big difference, 9.2 yards per attempt. Under pressure, 3 touchdowns, 52% completion, drops 18%, 6 yards per attempt.